Friends, good day. Ivan Goncharov had written this marvelous novel. The name of this novel is Oblomov. It, it is published in 1859, and Ivan Goncharov, born in 1812, in 1891, a famous Russian writer, Ivan Goncharov. So, uh, the center of this novel is the protagonist or the hero of this novel is Ilya Ilyich Oblomov, a young and generous noble man filled with indecision. So the novel, it is published in 1859, a young and generous nobleman, leaving him unable to take any significant action. He was so lazy that he couldn't move from his bed. For large portion of the novel, he doesn't even leave his room or bed. He is portrayed as the ultimate version of the superfluous man, a capable and talented figure who is rejected and for not fitting social norms. This archetype is common in 19th century Russian literature. Oblomov, a satire on Russian nobility at a time when such portrayals were becoming more acceptable, explored themes of the transition from childhood to adulthood, as well as the ongoing social changes in Russia as the country becomes more and more dissatisfied with its monarchy, popular when it was released. It was the subject of much literary discussion, including among those who worried that its lead character would encourage sloth among the young. It was adopted into a 1980 Soviet film, which received significant critical acclaim and was later adopted into a BBC television adaptation and also a radio dramatization. So, Oblomov focuses on the daily life of the main character, Ilya Ilyich Oblomov. Oblomov is the son of a member of Russian landed gentry, providing him a life of relative leisure in the upper middle class. Oblomov takes a casual, slothful attitude towards life and commits to it to such an extent that he conducts most of his daily business from his bed. He's still in bed after waking up one morning when he receives a letter from the manager of his country estate, Oblomovka. The letter explains that the financial situation is terrible there and they require a visit from him to make financial decision about how to proceed. However, Oblomov rarely has the fortitude to leave his bedroom. A 1,000-mile journey into the countryside seems impossible for him. He sleeps, dreaming of his youthful upbringing at Oblomovka. There he was never expected to work or perform chorus around the house, and his education was frequently interrupted as his parent pulled him out of school for family vacations. His half German friend Andrei Stulz lived a very different life, brought up by a hard-working parent who raised him with structure and discipline. Hard-working young man Stulz visits at the end of part one, rousing Oblomov from his dream. As the story develops, Slutz tries to get Oblomov out of his bed, out of his house, out of his stupor. He brings people to the house, including a young man. A woman named Olga. Oblomov quickly falls in love with Olga and they became engaged. But their relationship eventually falls apart when his apathy and fear of making decision become too great for her to handle. She calls off their engagement after he delays their wedding too many times and makes no serious move towards putting his affair in order. Oblomov's shady friends, Tartinayev and Ivan Maktyevich, swindle him repeatedly. Stolz looks out for him, getting the money back when they con the naive young nobleman. Eventually, however, the two criminals wise up and begin blackmailing Oblomov. He is forced to give them all his income from the country estate for more than a year before Slutz discovers the plot and retaliates by getting Ivan fired from his job. Olga, meanwhile, has left Russia and moved to Paris. Slutz is traveling many bumps into her again. They form a close connection. They fall in love and marry. Oblomov continues to sleepwalk through the life, but eventually things reach such a point that he is forced to take inventory and action. When Tartinayev continues to manipulate him and treat him cruelly, Oblomov confronts him, beating him and kicking him out of his manor. Slutz returns to Russia after his travels and visits his friend. He learns that Oblomov has married his widowed landlady Agafia and had a son with her. The son is named Andrei after Slutz. Slutz had hoped Oblomov would make more of himself, but is finally resigned to the fact that he can't change his friend. Oblomov spent the rest of his life being cared for by Agafia, having recreated his childhood paradise of Oblomovka. He is delivered delicious meals and never has a reason to worry. When Oblomov is old and sick, nearing his death, he mentions Oblomovitz as the cause of his death, implying that he knows he has written his own fate. He dies in his sleep peacefully, and Slutz adopt his son after his death. So this is the story of Oblomov. Ivan Alexandrovich Goncharov was a Russian novelist and government official, best known for his novels A Common Story, Oblomov, and The Principe. He also worked as a government censor and wrote the controversial memoir An Uncommon Story, where he accused several prominent Russian novelists of plagiarizing his work. So this is the novel Oblomov by Ivan Goncharov. I hope you will like this novel, very with a different story, the story of a laziness of his hero Oblomov. I hope you will enjoy it when you read it. Thank you.